Hey everyone, Midits here. Back near the end of 2020, I talked about the Minecraft server, Pixel Paradise. And for a long time after that, I discussed the other servers featured on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. So, as a way to close out this series, here's a tier list ranking all of the servers I discussed. There's a surprise later in this video, so I hope you watch to the end. But most importantly, I hope you enjoy this video, and let's get straight into this. In the F tier, we've got two servers, I guess. I don't know if server is an accurate way to describe these two things. Starting with what I believe to be the worst out of the two, Mineville City. When I played it for my review, there was a grand total of 6 minigames. These include, and I guess are also limited to, dungeons, farming sim, skyblock, prison, high school, and evolutions. 4 of these cost money to play, with each costing roughly $5. That's $20 for the full Mineville experience. That's $5 more than Stardew Valley in its entirety. The first minigame I played, or in reality the first available one, was High School. It's a game where you roleplay in high school. I tried to complete a class as the game instructed me to, and I immediately got lost and had no idea what to do. When I played Prison, I was lucky. Apparently, it's normally play to play, but I got the once-in-a-lifetime chance to try it out for free. As you can assume, it was not worth it. The same goes for the final minigame Dungeons. Here, you just punch a bunch of mobs, which for what I saw, were only animals, so there are no stakes or sense of conflict. You're just walking around and left-clicking occasionally. I did some research again on Mineville for this video, and it turns out that Mineville actually had some other minigames within their in-PvP hub until 2022. They then brought them back in 2024. So I pretty much played this server at the worst possible time. It's not like I'm gonna go back to retry it though. They still haven't brought back quite a few minigames they had before, and if they're anything like what I played before, then these returning minigames don't really inspire much confidence. The next server is one we all know and which never existed, the always disappointing Pixel Paradise. This server has 8 minigames, but once again, that's basically a lie. Islands has to be purchased, and while Volcano lures you into believing it's free, you also have to get a pass for it. There's TNT Run and Spleef, which are good on their own, but don't feel as great when they're 1/3 of the whole server. Boat Battle's more unique, but it still doesn't feel like a selling point. Guess Who is a hide and seek game, and viewers should know my opinion on hide and seek, but Pixel Paradise still managed to let me down. Despite everything I've said, I do have some positives. I didn't really play it that much, but Island of Adventure seems like a pretty solid minigame consisting of a few smaller games, and I actually really enjoyed Cookcraft, which is a restaurant simulator. Overall, Pixel Paradise sucks, but I have quite a few reasons to put over Mineville. I kind of went into Pixel Paradise expecting it to be bad, while Mineville completely caught me off guard with its sheer mediocrity. Also, Pixel Paradise somehow manages to have more and better games, no matter how slim a victory that is. That doesn't mean it's good though. Luckily, Pixel Paradise was removed in 2023, so we no longer have to suffer under its reign of terror. Speaking of being removed, Mineplex is D tier for didn't play. Moving on. Also, the next servers are actually pretty decent, so we're moving past C tier. Here in B tier, we have 2 servers that don't feel like they are made out of contempt for Minecraft players and mankind at large. First off, we have Galaxite, which is made up of 5 minigames, kind of. My farming life unfortunately costs money, but the other games here actually managed to make up for it. Playground consists of some smaller games that, while not anything crazy, work as a nice break between some of the larger minigames. The Entity is really unique as it's a horror game, and while it's not something that I can see myself playing often, I have to applaud Galaxite for bringing something that other servers I tried didn't have. While not as unique, probably my favorite minigame is Parkour Builders. In this, you can create and play other players' parkour levels. Compared to CubeCraft's parkour minigame, for example, this has far more replayability with its user-created maps. Lastly, there's another collection of minigames called, minigames. For my video on it, I didn't play all the games in this section, but Core Wars, Chronos, Hyper Racers, Rush, Prop Hunt, and Fill the Gaps are clearly very distinctive from each other. This is something I probably said multiple times across my previous reviews, but this one section of minigames alone is comparable to the amount of content provided by Mineville and Pixel Paradise combined. While Galaxite isn't that big and has some very minor issues, it's definitely something I would recommend that you try at least once. But in the B tier, I think Galaxite is upstaged by Lifeboat. Lifeboat has a too big to count number of minigames, which I'm probably going to be saying for the rest of this video. The games are divided into 2 sections, minigames and world games. And once again, both of these 2 sections are bigger than both Mineville and Pixel Paradise combined. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's not even much of an achievement. There are some classic games such as survival games, Sky Wars, Bed Wars, Prison, and Capture the Flag. While my opinion on some of these may vary, having some of the more recognizable minigames is always a bonus. Zombie Apocalypse is a game where you run through a map avoiding zombies. One in the Chamber is a game where everyone has a sword, bow, and arrow, and must try to knock out as many players in one hit during the time frame of the game. Neither of these are huge games, but they are fun additions nonetheless. But to be honest, the world games are probably what make the server for me. There's survival mode, where you play in a survival world with other players. There's also the iconic Skyblock that doesn't need much introduction. Lifeboat City is a roleplay game mode, but unlike Mineville High School, it actually functions. Lastly, there's creative mode plots, where you can create whatever builds you want, as long as they fit within your plot of land. This server honestly has such a great combination of content that I feel like this could easily be on the cusp of A tier. If this was the only Minecraft server that I could play, I'd probably be satisfied. But it is in B tier for some reason. Not because of Lifeboat, but because of what comes after. In A tier, there are once again two servers. These are the ones that I continually come back to whenever I decide to play Minecraft. First off, we have another huge server with the Hive. There are many minigames we all know and love, like Bed Wars, Sky Wars, Capture the Flag, Death Run, and survival games, which should honestly just be required games on any server. Murder Mystery is obviously something not original to the Hive, but it's still really fun. You either play as an innocent or sheriff, or you have to stop the killer. Alternatively, you play as the murderer who has to kill everyone else. Just Build is a definite highlight of the server. Everyone is assigned the same topic and must depict said topic in a build to the best of their ability. Seeing other people's builds can be absolute chaos sometimes, and it's incredibly difficult to get tired of this minigame. Now's the time for the greatest minigame, not just in Minecraft, but in human history. Hide and seek, or hide and peek as I like to call it, is pretty self-explanatory. As a seeker, you look for other players, and as a hider, you become a block and must blend to your surroundings. There is nothing more fun than a tense scene where someone is just on the verge of finding you, but they barely miss you. Block Party is a game where players must stand on a block within a short time or fall off the map. Besides the games I mentioned earlier, some minigames sort of similar to other popular game modes include Gravity, The Bridge, Ground Wars, and Block Drop. One thing I will say is that I'm not the biggest fan of The Bridge, which has to do with something we'll talk about later. Despite this, the Hive is an incredible server, jam-packed with all the essentials, and some more fun original games to boot. But there's still a better featured server out there. If you've watched my channel at all, it's pretty obvious what it is. The one and only CubeCraft. Same deal, a lot of minigames, let's talk about them. We'll just skip over Bed Wars, Egg Wars, Skyblock, and survival games. They're all great, except I'm not that huge of an Egg Wars fan personally, but let's move on to the more unique ones. Pillars of Fortune is a more recent addition, and it's a really fun chaotic game where players get a bunch of random items and have to knock each other off with whatever they get. Lucky Blocks is essentially Sky Wars, but spiced up with more unique items. Ballerina is great and definitely a highlight of the server. It's made up of two minigames, Free-for-all and Duels. Free-for-all is pretty self-explanatory, as players fight against each other on a giant map. Duels is a PvP minigame that delivers options for either 1v1 or 2v2 matches, and it is also very engaging. While Battle Arena is amazing, what I've probably spent the most time playing is Block Wars. This also consists of two games, Capture the Flag and Bridges. Capture the Flag is a team game where you try to get the other team's flag and protect your own. What makes this one especially great is how many unique strategies you can use to attain victory. The reason I'm not a huge fan of the Hive's The Bridge is because CubeCraft's Bridges is better in every way possible. The Hive's version has significantly fewer players, and the match resets after someone scores a point. Normally, CubeCraft's Bridges has 10 players per team, and the game continues after someone scores a point. There's so much mayhem constantly going on, and that's what makes it so fun. Minerware is most certainly a game on this server. Moving on, the last minigame is Parkour, which, while not as big as versions on other servers, is a nice minigame regardless. Overall, the Hive probably has more content than CubeCraft, but this server manages to refine the minigames it does have and create some of the definitive versions of said games. So those are all the sponsored Bedrock Edition servers, except there's one thing. I said that I'll be talking about all the servers I discussed in previous videos. That includes the final server I talked about, and the one that belongs in S tier, Hypixel. Hypixel is the greatest Minecraft server, and while that's not a hot take, it means a bit more since I've always been a Bedrock player. Hypixel could honestly be a completely different game separate from Minecraft with just how much you can do here. There are single minigames here that are larger than entire servers. Speed Builders is a fun little game similar to Build Battle, but instead of making something, you have to recreate a build that you're shown. Minigames such as Wool games, Murder Mystery, TNT games, arcade games, duels, prototype, and classic games contain multiple games within them that, in my opinion, would probably be placed into multiple separate sections in any other server. Each individual minigame is worthwhile too. Skyblock definitely fits into the category of large enough to be its own server, and maybe even large enough to be its own video game. There's one game called Hypixel SMP, which requires a paid pass to use. While I've never been the biggest fan of this practice, come on, look at how much content there is on this server. One great part about Hypixel is that it doesn't just have some of the classic minigames, it has essentially all of them. Bed Wars, Sky Wars, TNT Run, survival games, Dropper, Build Battle, a Capture the Flag equivalent and Capture the Wool, and Skyblock as I've already mentioned. Not only that, but most of these games have more to them besides just being the regular versions. In housing, you can create houses and visit the homes of other players. This is another game you can spend so much time on because the only real limit is the imaginations of not just you, but the other players on the server. One issue I did run into was that with the large amount of minigames, some just didn't have enough players to start. While it definitely is a shame, as there were some really cool looking minigames I wasn't able to play, it doesn't take away from how impressive the size of this server is. While there are still some things I believe the Hive and CubeCraft do better in terms of specific minigames, overall, I have to give the title of the best server to good ol' Hypixel. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out some of my other content. If you really did, subscribe so that you know when future content comes out. I have a Patreon, so go check that out if you want to support me and watch my videos ad-free. That's gonna be it for now, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.